In 2017, I feel like that was like the height of like my entrepreneur antennas was just like super high. You know what I'm saying?
17?
2017.
That's young.
Yeah. So I was thinking about just ideas and shit, and I had just maybe a few years prior, I had read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and I thought the book was cold. And in 2017, it hit me randomly. I'm like, man, that'd be a dope clothing line. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I still remember the definition. An outlier is a person or a thing differing from all other members of a particular group or set. Okay, I do remember it. It was instilled into me. So I'm like, man, that'd be a dope clothing line to represent people who feel like, you know, they're outliers in that field or want to be an outlier in their field or whatnot. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I wrote it down. I still got the note in my notes in my phone with the date and everything when I came up with the whole idea and concept or whatnot. So I wrote it down, but I didn't make my first shirt until like 2019. Like I wrote it down or whatever, I wrote out the plan or whatnot, life getting away or whatever the case may be, cool. But then like 2019, I'm like, yeah, it's time to, you know what I'm saying, turn up or whatever. So made the shirts or whatnot, and I sold out the shirts. I made 2 shirts, and I how many did I make? I think I had maybe like 10. I overdid it. If you looking to start a clothing line, you know, unless you have that type of delusion in yourself that you can just sell all that shit out the gate, don't order as many. Order maybe 5 shirts in each size and see if you can get that off. I think I ordered like maybe 10 or 15 shirts in each size out the gate. Like no promotion, no nothing or whatnot. So I ended up selling like probably 80 to 90% of it like pretty fast. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'm on to something. And sales was going cool, and I made some more shirts. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you know, man, that'd be dope as hell to have a store. But I thought that was kind of like too far fetched. You know what I'm saying? Like a store, like me have a brick and mortar type shit, you know. It just wasn't on my mind. It was a thought. So as I'm going along, but it's crazy, you know, thoughts become things. You know, you never know how deep, you know, that thought is registering in your subconscious mind. So long story short, time goes on, and I wasn't even looking at the time. I was going to go pick up an order of shirts that I had made. I still been going, still been selling, and I made a order, and I was picking it up from this guy who was making my shirts. I walked into his store, and he like, man, bro, you ever thought about opening up a store? I'm like, yeah, you know, I thought about it for sure. I didn't feel like I was at the point in my business, or I even had that. I wasn't even in position to open up a store. You know what I'm saying? He like, I'm actually getting ready to leave out of my store. I could, you know, talk to the owner. Maybe you can take over my lease and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Let's see. You know, let's talk numbers or whatnot. Long story short, it was something that I felt like I could handle, and shit, it was gone. Like I signed the lease, and I owned a store. Wow. I owned a store, and in I think 30 days, it's crazy what I did to the store. I got some pictures. I'll probably send them to Terry. You could like put the pictures side by side type shit and show the people. But I took it from that to this in like 30 days. I just redid the whole place, and at the time, luckily, like my credit was good. You know what I'm saying? I had some savings, money, and I just bought a whole bunch of inventory, filled up my store. And 30 days prior, I was selling clothes out of my basement, and I had a full running store. And, you know, that's an example of manifestation. You know, it started out in my phone on a, you know, I was going to say piece of paper, but in my phone, noted, you know, just words. Then it manifested into a brick and mortar store. So today we're going to talk about manifestation and, you know, how that showed up in our lives and how, you know, we can still be using it to this day. And, you know, and how to use it. I actually have a book that I'm going to recommend y'all that I feel like is the most practical book on manifestation. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of books like The Secret and stuff like that. And I feel like this book was the most like kind of step by step on knowing what to look for, how to gauge if you're manifesting something in your life and things like that. For a long time, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker was my favorite book. But once I read this one, it was it instantly shot up to number one. If you lazy, you waking up at fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon and shit like that.
Popping bottles.
You're setting the tone for everybody because you're the leader.
Popping pills.
That's just what comes with being a man.
Popping bitch ass niggas.
I don't want nobody making decisions over my life except me. Not a woman, not a judge, not an officer, not no motherfucker.
When them bullets hit them up, look like son had a seizure. Run out, give it up, you know the procedure. I be sipping Jack and honey.
I don't think nothing can make me feel like a man. I don't think nothing can make me not feel like a man.
Chains on my collar.
You can't take the benefits of being a man without the responsibilities.
Give you niggas halos on God in the king.
So welcome back to Roses I Did. We got a special guest, man.
Special.
I know y'all like, damn, y'all niggas popping up with the guests left and right. Y'all don't really do the guests. It just be you enjoy. Yeah, nigga, we got guests now. Fuck is that? We got guests now. So we got my boy Squill here.
That's me.
Big homie Squill.
Let them know who you are, why you here, how you here, like, what's up?
Who am I? I am Squill. That's just what the trenches call me. I'm Squill, though. I am a law student. I do go to school full time. I'm here on behalf of my brother, Maciano.
For sure.
But I'm here to kick it with y'all, though, for sure.
You here on behalf of yourself, though, because he ain't recommend everybody else to be. He recommended you to be here.
Thanks.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
He know more people than you. He can
he know a myriad of people. I got that word from him, too.
It sounds like you got that word from him.
Yeah, that's
Bro be saying all type of shit.
Yeah.
So you be saying all type of shit.
Look, I be leaving the conversation with him. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go read some more.
Man.
Smart guy, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
No, thanks for having me.
What
for
kind
sure.
of law?
So my end goal is to open up a criminal defense firm, 100%.
For sure, you trying to get these. I got some niggas that I need you.
Call me.
I need you to finish ASAP.
Call
Some young
me.
niggas.
Yeah, call me, for sure.
they gonna still be young when you done.
Absolutely.
That's how young they are.
And I don't even know how long you got left. The niggas still gonna be young whenever you done.
10 months.
Oh, for sure.
Seriously?
Nice.
Yeah, I just started my last year. My last year. of law school.
Let's go.
Dope,
That's
man. Dope.
what I can, brother.
Dope, man, for sure. Okay, so I appreciate you coming here, man. Like John said, we're gonna talk about manifestation today, man. We don't get too much into the voicemails and all of that, but for me, manifestation has played a huge role in my life, man. On the last episode with Maciano, we talked about the book The Alchemist. That book is all about manifestation. Think and Grow Rich. A lot of Outwitting the Devil. A lot of books. There's a lot of books out there that talk about, believe in something, accepting something in your mind to the point that the universe conspires to make it happen for you. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
I guess we could just talk about going to law school.
Yeah.
To kick it off. My journey didn't start with me wanting to go to law school. Like, I didn't always know I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't always know law school was a thing.
Okay.
I started off with, in undergrad, I was getting a degree in finance. I did get a degree in finance. I have a degree in finance. I graduated with a degree in finance. But in my last year of school, like towards the end of my junior year, starting my senior year of college, I was bored. I was bored of finance. Like, finance just wasn't doing it for me. I knew I couldn't do that for the rest of my life, or what they showed me finance was at Purdue. Like, I couldn't.
You feel like when you say bored, did you feel like it was easy for you? Or was it just boring?
It wasn't. It was easy for sure, but that's not why I found it boring. I didn't find it boring because it's like, all right, I just know everything that I'm doing. I found it boring in the aspect of I can't see myself just typing in numbers in this Excel sheet every day, like all day. Like, that's not for me. Doing these different formulas and all that, that was genuinely boring to me.
Yeah.
So when I got the chance, I spoke with my mom and we were talking about what I can do, like, as a change. And she just said, I don't care what you do, graduate college. That's just what it is. So I got to talking to my financial advisor, my student advisor, and she told me to basically, she was just like, finish your degree. You got 30 credits left. Just finish the degree and then go to grad school for something else. I said, like what? She was like, try law. Like, you got law as an option. You can go get an MBA. You can go do this. She just gave me a list of options. I looked into going into law. And when I was looking into it, the way that it's set up, it's a hierarchy, right, of schools. Now, certain schools, obviously, like Harvard's, the Yales, and the schools that you know of, those are all in the T14. It's a top 14 school. That's law school rankings. And before I even started studying for the LSAT, that's the law school entrance exam, basically. Before I even started studying for the LSAT, I was looking at what kind of school I would want to go to, like where would I want to go. And for me, going top of anything has always been like something like I'm arrogant, like I'm a cocky bastard. That's just what I am.
You showed that. Go ahead.
You get it. So when I was looking into it, I always knew like, all right, I'm gonna go somewhere like worth something. Like I'm gonna go somewhere in its top 14 for sure. Mm-hmm. And it's when you're looking at it, it seems out of reach because you're talking to people and people are like, yeah, no, it's not. Like that's not really heard of, or they only accept 6% of applicants.
How do you feel when you hear that? Like, because that can interrupt manifestation.
Yeah, I feel like that's just them projecting their insecurities on me.
Okay.
I feel like I said, I'm cocky. I feel like I can do anything. So when it came to that, when it came to the law school process as a whole, when I was looking at the schools, I was just like, I'm going somewhere in this top 14, like easily. And then I started studying for the LSAT. And when I was studying for the LSAT, my first practice test I got like a 130 something. And just to gauge it, 120 is the lowest score you can get. A 180 is a perfect score. So when I was like my very first practice test, I got like a 131, and I was just like, all right, we got to work. Like it's a test to gauge where you are. So that's just
is that a passing score?
Yeah.
Technically, you don't really pass or fail. It's not a pass or fail test. It's just you get a score and schools accept.
Oh, okay.
This. So this is their median, and this is where their low tier people get. So that's just
that determines what law school you can get into.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So when I was studying for the LSAT, though, I would see like progress. Obviously, I'm seeing progress, and then it got to a point where I was getting a lot of questions right at some point. I ended up taking the LSAT, doing pretty well. Got a 178, and then once I got that score back, I just knew like I was like, yeah,
I'm the nigga.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm literally going anywhere.
It's like running a fucking 4-1.
right. Like I'm in there.
Yeah, that's what it was though. Like that's where I was at. I was like, yeah, I'm like, I don't care what the school is. I don't care what they're asking. Like I'm in there. And my undergrad GPA, that's what they base it off of as well. So undergrad, I graduated with a 3.9. So it was like I was set basically.
Yeah.
So when I started applying for schools though, and we're still talking about the manifestation thing, when I was applying for schools, I was like, I need to go number one. The number one school at the time was Yale. I was like, I need to go to Yale. 100% I need to go to Yale. And then when I was applying for Yale, they have like their own essays that you got to write for them. It's like a Yale 250 essay where you got to write an essay on a topic that they pick. It's 250 words. It has to be 250 words exact. They won't even count it if it's anything more or less than 250 words. So when my first draft of that essay, it was like 331 words. And I was like, I made this as short as possible. It's like 6 lines. Like, I don't know. I can't do this. But I never told myself I couldn't do this. Like, I was just like, yeah, this is stupid. But then I ended up doing it. I did end up getting into Yale.
That's not a lot of characters.
250?
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm thinking about
very
like
difficult to write.
You would think Yale want to write 20-page paper or something.
Yeah.
Nah, it's called the Yale 250 essay, and it's 250 words on a topic that they pick. And I think the topic they gave us is something so. I think they asked me like, "What are you gonna do with like? Why do you want to practice law?" or something. It was something like very broad though. I was like, I can write a 10-page paper about why I want to practice law, like any kind of way. But I did that, and my very first law school acceptance though was to the University of Illinois. But they're like ranked like 50 or something like that. And so I was like, I knew I was going. At the time when I saw my score, I was like, yeah, for sure. I for sure got into there. But then I started applying to the Ivy Leagues and to the big schools and to the schools in the T14. And my first like real T14 acceptance was Northwestern. Mm-hmm. And when Northwestern accepted me, I was just like, oh, I'm green. But you get an email that say Yale Law admissions. I was like, oh. I was up and stuck, huh? As soon as you open it, first thing it says, congratulations. It got the little confetti and stuff on you. I was like, yeah. It's
from Yale, right?
Yeah, from Yale Law. Yeah, absolutely. It was up and stuck. Yeah. But ended up not going to Yale, obviously. I got into a lot of schools, but.
That's it. That's just some of the list, man.
Did you get Harvard?
Yeah, I got
You got Harvard too?
Yeah.
You got the Yale, Harvard. What else, man? Run it down. Run it.
Shit.
Let's see. In the top 14, I got into the Yale, Harvard, Michigan, Georgetown. I got into Stanford. I got into UChicago, obviously. Northwestern. And I think that's all. I got into every school I applied to. I applied to like 16 schools. I got in every school I applied to, but that's all for like the T14s. The other schools, they don't matter, but they was just
Okay.
not as good. But I definitely manifested that. I always told myself, like, yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can do. This is something you can do. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that's where we at.
And then we got to talk about also the action behind manifestation too, because we talk about manifestation on the internet a lot. I hear a lot about people talk about manifestation, but I don't think people talk about the work behind it. Even with the what's the quote from the Bible? Faith without
works is dead.
Yeah, so that's I feel like it support it got to be a lot of action behind the manifestation as well, man.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a part of like really the quote I go by, and I tell all my mentees this is decide, plan, sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's my formula to completing any goal. Is like, and decide is very, very important.
Yep.
Like decide exactly what you want. Like I want to be rich, nigga. How much money do you want? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how much money do you want? Where do you want to get it from? Plan. You know what I'm saying? A goal without a plan is just a dream at the end of the day. So plan exactly how you want to do it, whether you reverse engineer the plan, however you got to do it. And then just be willing to sacrifice whatever comes. Like shit, maybe you can't go out for 2 years. Maybe you can't, you know what I'm saying, go on no trips. Maybe you can't do this, you can do that. You got to be willing to sacrifice. But if you do those 3 things, I feel like you can accomplish any goal. And for me, manifestation, really, when it comes to the universe conspiring to help you, that sounds like such a spiritual thing that can't necessarily be explained with words. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think it can. And it's almost like the red card theory, right? Like if you looking to buy, if somebody tell you, count how many red cars you see, if you ride down the street and somebody, how many red cars you see today, you probably have no idea, right? But then if somebody say count the red cars, you will see so many red cars because you're looking for it. You would even take some burgundy shit and just count it as red because you're looking for it, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not gonna miss nothing. And thinking about FC Network going on tour, and that's something that we really wanted to do. And I decided that that's something that I wanted to make happen. And I saw things that I wouldn't have saw if I didn't decide that. You know what I'm saying? Like when we went to, and really how it happened was, Learn Lionel reached out. I saw them on Instagram. I'm like, these niggas look lit. One of them DM me. I'm like, I thought the shit was fake. You know what I'm saying? They DM me like, hey, we come to Chicago. We're going to be performing at City Winery. We want you to come on. So we go on their show. Then we went to, I want to say it was Cocktails or Poor Decisions was at City Winery.
When TJ and Jody,
it was like the first one. I don't think none of us was in it at this time.
Okay.
But I don't remember it happening that way. But we went to the show. Poor Minds. Yeah. So Cam was there. Was Cam there too? I think. No, it was just me and Randy. So the thing was when I opened the link to the show, I noticed that every date they had was in a different city, but it was at City Winery. Mm-hmm. So that's what made me realize, like, oh, City Winery is a national chain. And it looks like they're on a City Winery tour. So when we went to the show, it's like, we got to get in City Winery because they will put us on tour and they're in our city. And then when we went to the show, it was a now hiring sign. Like, Randy, you got to work here. Like, oh, no, like, what's going on? You got to work here because you got to figure out who we got to talk to get in here. So it's like we like they're like sending the mall to the venue to figure out how to do it. But that's literally like the red card thing of like I wouldn't notice none of that shit if I wasn't trying to go on tour. I wouldn't have picked up on that. You know what I'm saying? But one of my favorite Nipsey Hussle quotes is like success leave clues. Yeah. So if this is working for them, it's like what can we pick up on? We just talked about, you know what I'm saying, how bro was at tonight's conversation and he watching what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I think that's how manifestation works in the sense of like going from the mental to the physical is it's stuck in your brain and you look for every advantage you can find in the physical world. You can't unsee the shit. You know what I'm saying? And then everything kind of starts to, and if you start walking that path and taking advantage of the things you see, everything just starts to fall in line.
I want to hit back on what's the thing that you tell young men? Decide,
plan, sacrifice.
Decide, plan, sacrifice. So when you hear decide, you know, that sounds simple. Decide. But don't quote me, but the Latin meaning for decide is to cut off from. So when you're deciding something, it's deeper than it's so surface level, but it's
this
a
nigga
deeper.
Put these glasses on and start telling us the Latin meaning of fucking words. Who the fuck are we talking to? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But AI Reggie, that's funny as hell. But when you decide something, you're cutting off from anything else other than what you decide on, right? And when you do that, like the intense focus on whatever you just decided, you're gonna start to attract situations and circumstances that's gonna align with with the decision that you made. And if I think about times where I thought I decided on doing things, I was when you're on the fence about some shit, it's probably not gonna happen. So it's a possibility. But think about times you was gun-hoed on, I'm gonna do this. It usually gets done. You know what I'm saying? Like it usually gets done. And so whatever you're trying to do, you got to kind of decide in a real way. You got to sit down by yourself and make that mental shift that this is what I want, and cut off from everything else and go after that shit.
I can attest to that, because back to this law school thing, when I was, so after I applied and I got accepted into it wasn't even all of the schools, but once you get to top school, everything else is just anybody can do anything at that point. I started running into people in the most purest way. I didn't do any reaching out. I'm not I'm not putting myself in these spaces. And I ended up running into a lady who is now a mentor, but I ran into her and she ended up being the head of the diversity chair at the number 2 law firm in the world.
What the fuck?
So it's how do you run into her? And we locked in that day and we just had a conversation. And this was before I even started law school. And since then she has been she's gotten me all type of internships, and she's done so much for my career at this point. It's it's ridiculous, but that's what it's paying. That's what it's all about. That's what.
Let me jump in and say this. You say, how do you run into her? You would have ran into her regardless. You were just prepared.
Right.
Y'all would have crossed paths and not said shit to each other if you wasn't prepared. You get what I'm saying? We walk past people every day. It's millionaires in a Hoxton. We don't know they millionaires because we ain't ready to have a millionaire conversation yet. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, we talk about the universe putting things in place. It's not again, I want to make it clear to people, it's not this spiritual, unexplainable thing. It's a very normal thing that you just have to be prepared for. You got something? I don't want you to lose it.
Nigga, the book that you talk, the omens. You have to pay attention to the omens. That's something in The Alchemist. Okay. And in that book, up until the point where I'm at, this king was teaching this young man before he went on the journey how important omens were. And omens are, pretty much signs, and it's the universe communicating with you. Okay. It's gonna happen, but if you're not paying attention to the omens, you're not gonna know that this opportunity presented itself. You're gonna miss it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I want to go into being prepared real quick before going back into that, right? I don't know if I talked about this on the pod before, but I used to think Asian people were smart as fuck and just smarter than everybody else in the world.
I like this analogy you did.
And we talked about this on the pod before?
On a live or something, but I heard it. But go ahead.
Okay, so I used to, and it was because of the movies we watched growing up, to where every time an Asian person was in a movie, they was a fucking genius. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be with technology, math, whatever the case may be. So I really thought Asian people were just smart as fuck. And when I went to college, I was there a week before school started, walking around the dorms and shit in the lobby, and it's these a few Asian students at a table, and they reading a biology book. And I had that class, and I didn't know what the fuck the book looked like until I seen them reading. I ain't even been to the bookstore yet. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if I have book money yet. What the fuck is this? So I'm trying to figure out how to finesse the book. Anyway, they reading the book, and I'm looking, and they on chapter 7, 8 of the book. So I asked one, I'm like, what y'all in the summer program or something? You know what I'm saying? Why y'all so deep in the book or whatever? They no, shit, we got class Monday, so we just getting ready for class. Like, damn. Okay. They like, we just reading through the chapters and answering the study questions. That's all. Okay, cool. Get to class Monday. The teacher get to talking this and that. They know the answer to every fucking question. If I wouldn't have saw them reading a book, I would assume that Asians are smart as fuck. Yeah. They know all the answers. They're just prepared. That's the difference. If you wouldn't have saw them doing that, you would have just assumed that they knew this shit when they got here. They went to a better school than you. They were taught better things at home. They have an advantage that you don't have, and you can't do what they do. Yep. But in reality, they're just prepared. It's no different than how, you know, you playing sports, you on a roster behind this nigga, or whatever the case may be, and you go do all this shit in the offseason, you come back better than that nigga. You were just ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wasn't special. You know, that's what makes you special. That's what makes you look special, make you shine. It's just being prepared. So just wraps into the action that you have to have behind manifestation, and not just feeling like, because I want this to happen, it's going to happen. You don't want it bad enough if you're not doing nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But the manifestation goes around being intentional about what you're doing, because we talked about how the actions, it got to be the combination of the thoughts and the actions, because the actions itself not enough. We talked about you could drive every day and just suck at fucking driving because you're not putting no thought to it. You're just trying to get from point A to point B. Versus another nigga who might not even drive as much as you, as a professional driver. He's really good at it because he's intentional about, I'm going to get better at parallel parking. I'm going to get better at driving reverse. I'm going to get better at these things. So you got to have the thought behind it, but you got to have the actions too. It got to all come together. You know?
I'm going to ask you a question going back to when you made your decision as far as you getting into one of them top was it T16?
T14.
T14. T14 schools. It was in concrete as soon as you said that. I'm getting in one of these schools. You decided in that moment. Mm-hmm. This was before the test. This was before all of that. Like that arrogance or that cockiness that you have, that's a healthy thing. Like you should feel like that in every aspect of your life. And in that example, you like, oh, what, the T14? I'm getting in one of them motherfuckers. I don't know which one it is, but I'm getting in one of them. Now, you decided, what's the next one? Plan?
Yep.
Plan. You end up taking the practice test. You know what I'm saying? You hit the 130. Yeah. You did 130, and then the highest was the 180. So now you decided, you plan, now you know where you at, you hit the 130. Is because some people studying and tests, it kind of come easy for them.
Right.
So let's talk about the process from when you got that 130. And it's like, all right, now what's your mindset going into how you studying for this test? Like, is studying difficult for you? What did studying look like? How long did you study before you took the next test?
Okay, so just to timeline everything. I took my first practice test in September, right?
Okay.
In September of 2021. I took the actual LSAT, like the official LSAT, January 15th, 2022.
Okay.
Right, so I'm in like a 3-month span, 4 month span. Once I practice test at that 131, what it was for me was, I need to break this test down. I'm breaking down this test. I'm not trying to learn the material on the test as much. And I tell people that I tutor now. I tutor people now for this test. I tell them, don't worry about the material of the test. Don't worry about the time limit on the test. I tried to learn the psychology behind the test. Why are they asking me these questions? Why do I need to know the necessary assumption behind this, right? So once you get to figuring that out, it's like, it'll all start, like, it just starts to click. But when I would study I worked full-time. So I was a full-time student and I was working full-time, but I was a security at a hospital. So it wasn't like a demanding job if it wasn't nothing going on.
Yeah, that's why you thought you could whip John Jones.
I was security. Yeah, I done seen crazy niggas off real drugs, and I done put hands on them. Shit. Yeah, that's nothing to me. But so when I would be studying at work. Like, I would work 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and I would get to work. I would do a round around the hospital, make sure everybody okay. And I would sit down. I would literally study for 6-7 hours a day. Like, that was my study process. I'm studying for 6 or 7 hours. I also took a course though. I took a course that you got to pay for. Obviously, I had to pay for the course. I paid for a course, and when I paid for this course, it's like they do this thing where they say, "Oh, you get a 169 guaranteed. If you don't get a 169 on the LSAT, we'll give you your money back." But you have to be practice testing at a 165 in order to be able to get in that program. Like, you got to test into the program. Super stupid though.
It's only a 4-point difference. Like, why the fuck? If I can get a 165 on my
get a
practice
169
test
on my own,
and pay you to get 4 extra points,
and charge an arm and a leg. But my thing was, I don't want to leave this knowing that I didn't do everything that I could, right? So
Facts.
when I
Go ahead.
when I took the when I had to study my way up to a 165, and when I was doing that, I'm studying 6-7 hours a day, and it's going. I'm just like going. I'm hitting it. What I would do is I would take the practice test, and every question I got wrong. The way the LSAT works is they break down like what type of question. Well, the study tool I was using, LSAT Demon, they break down like what kind of question you're answering right now. So I'm answering a support question, a necessary assumption question. So I'm looking at what kind of questions am I getting wrong consistently. Why am I getting these questions wrong consistently? All right, so then I'm breaking it down by section. Now, the LSAT is in 4 different sections. Well, 3 different sections, but it's 4. One of them is like an experimental section, so you don't know which section don't count. They're going to give you 4 sections, and one of these sections don't count. They're not going to tell you which one don't count either, so try your hardest.
Right.
I would break it down by section. So I would do a logical reasoning section, and what I would do is it's 27 questions, 25 to 27 questions, and you got 35 minutes to answer them. What I would do is, fuck the time. I don't care if it takes me an hour and a half to answer these 27 questions. I'm going to answer these 27 questions. I'm going to get them all right. That's where I was at with it. So I would study to where I can get the questions right. I wouldn't like leave until I got I would set a goal. I'm not leaving until I get 10 of these questions right in a row. I get 10 right in a row. All right, now I'm on to my next goal, 15 right in a row. But I also got to remember that I'm going back to these same 10, but this is all for one section. So I just broke it down month by month like that, and then put it all together at the end. It worked out.
So it's a few things I heard right there. First is you're passionate about this. And a lot of times we try to chase things for money, but we don't care about the work of it. And it's hard to embrace the process. Because if you're saying I'm at work where I should be doing something else, but I'm spending 6-7 hours of my work time to study, that means I actually like what I'm studying. If I didn't like what I was studying, I would just work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. I would use this excuse that I'm at work to not study this shit. You know what I'm saying? So the passion is there. What's the thing that he said that he said, I'm gonna make sure I did everything I could have.
Exactly.
Not having no regrets. That's very important when you're chasing anything. It's like at the end of the day, asking yourself, like, did I do everything I could? And it's a humbling question to ask yourself.
Absolutely.
It's a humbling question to ask yourself. If an entrepreneur selling clothes, we both been in that space before. And whether you reverse engineering selling your clothes, saying, okay, I want to quit my job. I need to be making at least, let's say, $4,000 a month before I quit my job to sell clothes. If I want to make $4,000 a month, how much do I need to make a week? How much do I need to make a day? How many hoodies do I need to sell to make that number? If you sell, let's say that the number is 7. I need to sell 7 hoodies to make this number a day. Let's say you sold 14 Monday, right? Mm-hmm. You damn sure don't take Tuesday off, right? But let's say you sell only 1 Tuesday, 0 Wednesday, Thursday. You have to it's a humbling question to ask yourself. Because a lot of us want to say, like, damn, I did that. I posted all day. I pulled up in my normal spots. Ain't nobody want to buy shit. Woo, woo. And you sit at the end of the day and ask yourself, like, did I do everything I could? Mm-hmm. The answer should always be no if you didn't hit the goal.
Right. 100%.
If you didn't hit the goal, the answer is always no. It's always something else you could have did. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you ever if you didn't hit your goal and you could sit back and tell yourself, I did everything I could, you just failed yourself. You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes you don't know. You did everything that you could with the knowledge that you had. Mm-hmm. Now that doesn't negate the fact that you didn't do everything you were supposed to do because you didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? You can
go get some more knowledge.
You gotta go get some more knowledge.
I think.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So for me, and this is something me and Mason talk about too. What I do is I don't like setting goals for real because once I set a goal, then once I hit it, I feel like I plateaued. Like that's it. That's where I'm at. So what I try to implement in my everyday is like I would rather have a system than have a goal. So if I got a system, no matter what the goal is, if my goal was to reach a 165 and I got this system in place, eventually I'm gonna hit a 170. I was upset. Like I could show you the messages right now. Once I got the score back, I was asking my mentor, like, shut up, I'm about to sign up to retake it in a month. She was like, why? I was like, bro, I missed 2 points. Like I could have got a perfect score on there. Yeah. She was like, that's stupid. Like you gonna put yourself through all that for 2 points? I say it's a difference when it's like that wasn't like 178 was never my goal. I never said, all right, I'm about to get a 178 on this LSAT and that's what it is. Yeah. Never set a goal for it. My goal is what's the highest score I can get. Yeah. What's the perfect score on there? 180, that's my goal then.
Yeah. And I was gonna say I heard the first time I ever heard system versus goal was Bill Belichick and the Patriots. You know, the fucking success they had in football is ridiculous over the last 20 years. 20 years. He said the goal is not, he was talking about Super Bowls. Like the goal was never to win a Super Bowl. The goal was to practice like this every day, because we know if we do these things every day, we're gonna eventually win a Super Bowl. But when we win it, we're not. It's a quote that I say. It's a quote that I love that says, "Don't let victory defeat you." Mm-hmm. Meaning that when you get that win, don't be so high on that you start to let up and take your foot off the gas because you finally like, okay, I finally made it. Let's let up. Let's fall back. So Bill Belichick was basically saying that, like, regardless if we win or lose, we practicing the same day, the day after the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't shit changed. It's still Patriot culture. Like, you still gonna show up on time to practice. I don't give a fuck that you was a Super Bowl MVP. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, if we keep doing that, we're gonna keep having the same result. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, bro.
Terry said, like, it's obvious that you're passionate, right? And when he said that, I'm like, okay, so we talking about school. We talking about studying. We talking about law degree, What I'm thinking is, I'm trying to figure out why, you're passionate. Why are you, studying so hard? Why is a 180 input? What does being a lawyer mean to you? Because we talked, it's a huge difference with, this finance degree, you did this, and
Absolutely.
This was a new goal. Like, this wasn't even on your mind.
100%.
Your counselor put this in your face. It's like, okay, cool, let's do it, blah, blah. And then a switch turned on. You are gun-ho on doing this. So what does being a lawyer mean to you? Why are you so?
I'm at a point now where, not even just now, even when I first started this, being a lawyer was not this isn't my end goal in life. It never was.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I just said, it's something that just came about, and I'm still using it just as a stepping stone to get to where I really want to be. Mm-hmm. I just understand that once you get the opportunity, you have to seize it. So I'm in a position right now that nobody where I'm from, or it's really barely anybody that looks like me where I am in these spaces now.
Yeah.
So I understand that I have to seize this opportunity. It's not that I'm passionate about law specifically.
Exactly.
I'm just passionate about just being overall great. That's it.
And that's connected to, like you said, you one of the only people in the space that look like you.
Yeah.
So this means more than just like a law degree. This
Absolutely.
means more than just, so that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. Stemming from me wanting to show people that look like me and that come from where I come from. Like, bro, this is really possible.
I feel like that's a way better motivator than I want to be a lawyer because they got good income and it's fun, it's cool. Like, right. The person who's going to law school for that, they'll get the 170 or 165 and be cool and, all right, I'm gonna just go through, get the C's. But when it means as much to you, it's way deeper than that. Right. It's a sense of perfection in there. It's a sense of, that's the purpose.
If that's your motivation, you're gonna talk yourself out of it. Mm-hmm. If the passion ain't the process, you're gonna talk yourself out of it because the process is gonna be too heavy for you. So if the passion was to make money, you're gonna be studying for the LSAT. Like, I can find another way to make this fucking money.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? If niggas is selling clothes and they don't really like clothes, it's just a way for them to make money. Niggas gonna think of another way to make money when them clothes not selling. So you're not gonna stay consistent about something that you don't care about. Mm-hmm. Even with this podcast shit, people are talking about how you start a podcast. Well, I just tell niggas. At first, I was telling niggas the equipment to buy and all that. Now I just tell niggas like, bro, whatever you want to talk about, just go live talking about it. And if you build the audience up enough, then go buy all of this shit. Mm-hmm. Don't go buy all of this shit because really you might. I don't know why you want to start a podcast, but 9 times out of 10, it's not really the podcast that you want, and you're probably gonna quit. You know what I'm saying? When you see how much time and money it costs, and how you're not getting anything from it, you're not getting no money from it. It's probably not gonna pop immediately. And niggas ask what worked for me is like, nigga, I kept doing this shit when it wasn't working. That's what worked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you gotta be passionate about it. Cause even with me, like with podcasting, like it's not that podcasting is like a passion for me. I like public speaking. I like getting my story out. I like helping people. So this is just a conduit to do that. Mm-hmm. It's not about like if I can find a more efficient way to do this shit, we can stop podcasting today. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is just the most efficient way I've found to do what I actually want to do. But what is your end goal?
My end goal in life, man, I really don't got a goal.
Right. Okay.
I don't got a goal. What I would like to do though is go public with this equity firm. Right, I have an equity firm. All right. I would like to take that public, and then whatever comes from that comes from that.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right, Squill. So I've been on your campus, bro. We go to the campus all the time and we study. And he right, like it ain't nobody on that motherfucker that look like us at all. So that's the motivation for sure. I want to speak to the other side of that. Is it a little bit disheartening? Like for instance, right? Like we do the podcast and things. So if I got any type of podcast advice that I need, or if I want to have a conversation about something podcast related, I have a phone book of people who I can call because we're in this realm. From the realm that you in, you feel me? You on campus studying for law and all of these type of things, and there's nobody that you really have is, you know, friends and like a group of people who you really up there kicking it with on the day to day. So is that a little bit disheartening for you?
I wouldn't say it's disheartening, and it's not disheartening based on the simple fact that my community behind me is extremely strong, right? So not seeing people in that space, it just gives me the, all right, you're doing something totally different. That's it. But I still call you and we have these conversations about whatever we need to have conversations about. I called you before a mock trial. We talked through it. I went out there and killed it, right? So I don't need the people that looks like me in this space. That's not what I need, right? So different people need different stuff for sure. I don't need that though. So no, it's not disheartening to me at all though.
That speak a lot to you too, because you know, you kind of more so saying like you got people in the podcast realm you could talk to about podcasting. He's in the realm of being a lawyer of law, but he's calling somebody outside of that realm and that can still speak to it, and you're not in that realm. So that kind of speak to you, right. Your versatility.
And it's people it's people I can call for sure. I can call a million attorneys. It's a million attorneys I can call and ask them questions and ask them this, but for what? I don't. It's nothing. It's really nobody. The people that I talk to and the people that I've networked with, especially just being around, they're not people that have been in this position. They've never been in this position. They've never had a curriculum this rigorous. So I'm asking them, if I get to asking them questions about, all right, look, this is what I got going on in school, and this is how they're going about it. How do I go about it? They're going to be like, bro, I don't. Bro,
I didn't score 176, 178 on the LSAT. You did, nigga.
Exactly.
You tell me.
So that's how I look at it. But also, I find pride in being able to figure stuff out, just figuring it out.
Yeah.
Going deep down the rabbit hole and figuring it out.
For sure.
It's not a lot of people like you. As you were telling that story, I was thinking about. I'm like that in a sense too. I was thinking about me, like with my job, right? This was one of the jobs where I was the only black person on the leadership team. I'm the only black, not even black. I'm the only black person on the leadership team and the only black male on the leadership team. And the majority of the company is pretty much just white. You know, you got some black people, but I don't want to say this as if like my position. I'm here and there, but they were like at lower level titles in the company or whatnot. And in corporate, they create these groups. I think it's ERG groups. I think that's what it's called. They have these ERG groups where you can connect with people who look like you, who are in similar positions, and you can, talk to because I might want to talk to my people about certain issues and things that I'm dealing with in this space because I'm not around them as much. And they're probably in the same situation, just, in different parts of the company or other companies or whatever. Right. But corporate usually create groups like some type of support groups. And I think what bro was asking is if you needed that type of support. And obviously you don't. And even I didn't need that group, you know what I'm saying? And right. It wasn't that deep for me, you know what I'm saying? So
that's how I look at it. It's not that deep. I can say that
some people need that though.
Right. They do. I can say that the people that I have networked with, the attorneys that I've met who are in these crazy spots. I'm talking about, it's a guy, when I interned in New York last summer, it was a guy out there, black guy, graduated from a top law school as well. Super smart dude. I'm talking about can talk to you about literally anything. And when I would ask him questions, it would all just be like, he would spin it all back to, honestly, you know what you're doing. Like, you asking me questions, but you know the answer to it. Like, you know exactly what you want the answer to be. You answered the question before you even asked it. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I mean, he's not lying. Like, I know what the answer is. I'm just doing this I don't even know why I'm doing it. I'm just asking questions at this point. And he's like, yeah, you don't need, bro, you don't, just go ahead.
You know what's going
this.
on.
And I'm just like, hey.
Don't do your thing.
And that's what I've been doing since. I do my thing, man.
For sure. I want to go back a little bit to the practicality of manifestation, and because I was thinking about something. And
You just reminded me, I didn't mention the book, but go ahead.
For sure. And I want to ask y'all about y'all. I know Jones is religious. You religious as well?
No.
Okay. So I guess this question will be one for Jones. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But the practicality manifestation, right? Like, I think I told this before, but I was in a space in 2020 where I wanted just a lot more. I wanted to get into heavier with business, entrepreneurship, and things like that. Even going before that in 2019, when I wanted to buy a building, investment property, I would watch a Dame Dash interview every night before I went to sleep because he had the big Breakfast Club shit where he was like, having a boss is like having a daddy, and it just caught my attention. I'm just like, damn, like he really big on this. He's like, you have something you could pass down to your kid and all this shit. And his delivery was crazy, but like everybody's doing what he said right now, right? That was 2014, that's 10 years ago. So I would just watch different interviews he have about business and things like that, and I would watch a video about real estate just to really put it in my mind. It was helping me decide because I wasn't fully decided yet, but I feel like that repetition of me feeding my brain that shit every day before I went to sleep, it helped me kind of lock in on that decision. But fast forward into 2020, after I had the building, I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur in business and all these different things. And when I decided that, the first thing I did was make a schedule for myself, a morning routine, right? And that's when I used to say win the morning all the time. And in that morning routine, I would, get up, I would exercise, I would read books, I would, but all my books was either personal development or financial literacy. And now these books are feeding me, right, in a certain way. Now when I'm done with these books and I'm driving to work, I don't want to listen to the shit I was listening to before. Because my frequency is too high for it. I just got through listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't want to hear Lil Durk talk about shooting a nigga. So now I'm listening to Nip. I'm listening to like certain Rick Ross songs about finances and shit. I'm listening to a few different things like that, right? Or I'm just listening, just keeping the audio book running. And then the same conversation-wise, the niggas just calling me and niggas just talking about gossipy shit or niggas just talking about what chicks this and this, that, da. I kind of didn't want to hear that shit in that morning space either. So I'm kind of like not answering them calls. Like I'm probably hitting niggas back like after lunch. Like, oh yeah, what happened, bro? But in that morning, my head space of listening to them books and the way I was waking up every day, it just had me so locked in. And what ended up happening, right? And this is like me explaining like that this universe shit is not just some crazy shit. It's like very practical. What happens is because I'm feeding myself this knowledge, right? I'm on Instagram and I'm following niggas that I've been following for 10 years. And they talking about real estate and shit. And they've always been talking about real estate and always been talking about business. But now that I'm reading those books, I understand what he's saying. And I'm DMing him about it. If I would have DM'd him before, he probably and asked him like, oh, what's this, what's that? You niggas hate when you try to pick their brain. You don't know shit about nothing. And it's like, you're probably not going to use this information. This nigga just like wasting my time going back for the DM. But now I know what a 203K loan is. So I'm hitting him up like, oh, damn, 203K loan, that's when you did it, how you do it. And now we have these conversations, but like how you say, like, what's the odds of me running into this person, right? Sometimes when you want to go on a journey and you want to say like, damn, I don't got nobody around me that know about real estate, that know about stocks. You probably do. You just drinking with that nigga, not asking them because you don't know about the shit. So it's some of the same niggas that I've been around who got all this knowledge that I could never tap into because I didn't want it. And I thought I wanted it, but I hadn't decided yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now that I'm really locked in, some of the people, them like how I'm like not answering them calls because it's like I'm in a certain vibration. Now I'm having them calls with other people. Now like the people who not, I'm still friends with everybody, but it's like the people who not like really on the same vibration as me is kind of moving a little further away. And the people who I kind of even know like that, it's the niggas I'm talking to on a daily basis now, right? And it's the same way with like everything around the goal. It just starts to come into a physical sense because mentally it can't really go no other way. And I think that one of the Newton's laws of motion is like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If I'm walking a room every day and be an asshole, everybody in the room has to react to me being an asshole. They have to. Whether they avoid me, whether they're nicer to me because they don't want to piss me off, or whether they're an asshole back. If I walk into the room and be nice, everybody has to react to that. Then those reactions are going to be different, but everybody has to do something about it, right? So if I know that and I decide that I'm going to be a businessman today, everybody has to react to it. They have to. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. So I feel like that's what manifestation is.
That was a great example.
Yeah.
And I'm on the same kick right now. Like I just been just overcrowding my brain with what I would say. I want to say positivity, but remember I posted in the Patreon. It's like a 20-minute little clip. It said like lock in. Yeah, Andrew Tate on it.
Yeah.
I probably listened to that thing probably 5 hours worth, and it's only 20 minutes long.
You got it on repeat?
For 20 minutes straight, it was everything that I, needed to hear. I feel like if any man hear that, you gonna turn up in whatever you gonna lock back in.
Andrew Tate be talking. It's a lot of different. Andrew Tate be talking that shit though. When it comes to motivation, he be talking that shit.
And I listen to that. I'm in the morning, cut it on, whatever. I'm getting ready. I'm cooking before I go to the gym, and I'll get in the car. And lately, I ain't been listening to music anyway. It's just been silence. Like I ain't got. I think I made a tweet or some shit about that. I said life done got so serious. I don't want to hear shit. Cut all this shit off. But I've been listening to that, and I don't want to hear anything else right now. I don't want to hear anything that's gonna like bring that vibration down and get my mind state back on maybe low level conversations or activities or anything. But the book that I was talking about when I opened up the podcast, that book is Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks, and I feel like that's the most practical book on manifestation. In the book they reference, I think it's what is it, EMS? Yes, EMS. That's how you can tell if you're, attracting things to you. EMS is your emotional, EGS. I don't know. Emotional guidance system, EGS, your emotional guidance system, right? And to give you an example, we can always use the radio example. If I'm listening to, 107, if I want to hear 107.5 and I'm on 92.3 or 102.2, whatever the case may be, I'm not on the frequency to hear 107.5. I'm just not, it can't happen. So for you to say that I want to be financially free, right? But your frequency is of a impoverished mindset, or you around low vibrations. The vibration is the frequency. So if I'm in a low vibrational environment, I can't feel my way to a higher one because I'm so consumed at this lower vibration. And financial freedom or whatever it is that you're chasing is here. But you're in a low vibration, so you have to feel good and then manifest. So in the book, it was like manipulate it. Like whatever makes you feel good, pull from that. Like if it's a song, if it's a movie, if it's something that's not, practical, whatever can make you feel good, and then start thinking about the things that you want. Then go write the affirmation. Then go say the affirmation. It's hard to do it if you feeling low and you try to, say a mantra or affirmation to get yourself to, feel good. It could possibly help, but cheat. Right. What makes you feel good? Go do that, and then, start to tap into the manifestation of saying, whatever you need.
Absolutely, bro. This is my question about the spirituality, though, right? I try to keep, like when I say, like, manifestation in the universe, like, conspiring and things like that, I don't look at it as, like, a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. And I try to keep, like, spirituality, and it's probably because of how I was taught with spirituality, I try to keep it separate from, like, my aspirations. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because I was always around people who would say stuff like, if God, like, meant this for you, this will happen, or this if it's not happening, this is not what God wanted for you, and things like that. And it's kind of like, for me, it's always hard to decide, like, when do you decide that? And sometimes I look at people and I hear them say that and say that, like, that's just you quitting. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because it's like, if I feel like if God decided this for me, it's going to happen, and I'm trying to do it for X amount of years and it hasn't happened, some people will say, like, well, that's just not for you. There's people around you that be like, well, that's just not what God wanted for you, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But what I know to be true is that, again, you got to keep doing some shit when it's not working. Like, everything don't pop for everybody right away. There's some people who do, and I think that's, the comparison thing. It's some people who would get on TikTok for 4 months and they just get traction. And there's other people who would take them years, but they still get there. You know what I'm saying? For me, in those moments of when we was doing something and it wasn't working, like I always say, like it was cool because I was getting better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when everybody showed up, I was good. You know? Because like when nobody else watching, I was watching this shit over and over again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was correcting all my mistakes. So when y'all show up, it's like,
Andrew Tate talk about that, but go ahead.
yeah, this shit is good now. But I think somebody else might have looked at that and be like, yeah, that just wasn't meant for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do you balance that?
How do you balance biblically, like
the thought of like God didn't mean, like when do you say God didn't mean that for you versus like you just giving up on something? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we all see that the graphic of the dude with the fucking pickaxe who gave up right before he hit the goal.
Yeah.
You know?
That is an amazing question. That's a great question. It's one that I asked myself. So the line is so thin because it's gonna depend on the ear that you have for God, you know, and His word. And I'm working on hearing God better. Give me a second. That's a great question, and this is something that I was recently, you know, battling with. Cause somebody, I'm gonna answer your question, but maybe this might help me answer it. Somebody asked me, you know, why do, you know, bad, quote unquote bad people, why do they get blessed? Like, you know, you ever see somebody, like let's just think about like, you know, car crackers or drug dealers or whatever. Like these people who probably are doing these bad things and, you know, they're way off. They way off better and, you know, they got the finances or whatever and you doing the right thing. And it's like, okay, if I'm following the rules and everything, why am I not, you know what I'm saying, being blessed like this person, right? And I was told that God's principles are true. Like in the Bible, the principles are true, regardless of, you know what I'm saying, who's following the principles. Like if you're doing X, Y, Z, and these are the principles of God and, you know, the universe or whatnot, I'm going to say universe, but these are principles of God, you'll still get the result, but you'll just be out of his will. You just won't have necessarily the grace that you're supposed to have, but the principles are true. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You can, if you fucking do 2 times 2, you know what I'm saying, and get the answer, that's going to be 2 times 2 is the answer for everybody.
Yeah.
Regardless of who's coming up with it. So to answer your question, how do you determine whether or not, like, if this is for me? I feel like a lot of times people can give up too soon. I think a lot of times it's you giving up too soon. Because if you give up on it and it don't bother you, that probably wasn't for you. Like, but if it tugs at you, if you decide that, all right, man, that ain't for me, ooh, and you just forget about it, that probably wasn't for you. But if you give up on it and it tugs at you and it don't sit right with you and it's bothering you, you should probably go back and start to pick that up and keep going. You probably quit prematurely.
I think that like something cannot be for you because of who you are today, but you might not be that person 2 years from now, and now it's for you because of who you are now.
Yeah, that's like you know, if you get blessed too soon, you can mess it up. You know what I'm saying? If you get, you know, an 18-year-old, you know, you come up on $1 million, 18 years old, 33-year-old you, or 23-year-old you,
Financially literate you. Yeah.
That's it. Financially literate you. Okay, yeah, whatever. But you're gonna do different things, and sometimes God will slow things down because He wants you to have it, but He also don't want you to mess it up. You could think you're ready right now, and you can think, you know, I'm doing everything, blah blah blah, but He knows, so He might prolong it. He will wait, you know, until I ain't gonna let your rap career pop off right now. I ain't gonna let your podcast pop off right now. I ain't gonna let this pop off right now. I'm gonna, you know, you got to go through a character development season.
Sure.
And now I can give it to you. Yeah, it wasn't for you then, but as long as you keep working on yourself and keep doing the practices and keep, you know, you can get blessed with it later. So I agree with that.
Absolutely. I think like it go back to in sports they always say like you got to be a champion to become a champion. You always have to be that. Like so you already have to be playing and performing on a champion level to actually win that. It's not like you get crowned and then you do the work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you gotta be a lawyer and then they're gonna like authenticate you or, you know, whatever.
Right.
Like,
You're a
you know
lawyer before you get the degree, before it's done.
Yeah, you've already worked yourself up to that point and then you get the crown or whatever the case may be. So I think that's, you know, that's part of what it is too, is that like, okay, it wasn't for you because it's like you're not who you're supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? You just haven't done the work.
Whatever it is, I like that. Whatever it is, you got to be it before it's authenticated. And that's big in the corporate world, right? People say things like, I hear this a lot. I don't get paid for that. I ain't doing for that. I ain't doing that. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to do what you don't get paid for, and then eventually, you know what I'm saying, you'll get overpaid for what you do.
For sure. I don't know, but again, though, that's why I kind of keep spirituality separate from like my aspirations, because I just don't believe that it's something that's not for me if I want it.
But you can combine it together, but you don't believe that because people would say that. People would be like, oh, God, maybe that ain't for you. That ain't what God wanted for you. That's people saying that.
Right.
God can very much believe this is for you. And just like you said, it's just not for you right now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't listen to people and, you know, be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to keep it separate. You can keep it together and X people out.
For sure. All right, man. I think that was a solid one on manifestation.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. You got anything else for him?
No, that's it for me.
Yeah,
I appreciate y'all for having
any
me.
words of motivation, anything like that?
Any words? Yeah, somebody out here might be, you know, they might be looking to be in law school or something.
Aspiring
like
to be a lawyer, need a lawyer.
Right.
If you need a lawyer, call Squill. But no, honestly, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, if you do want something, I promise you the work that you put in will show whether or not you want it. Mm-hmm. If you don't really put in the work, if you think you're doing enough, 10x whatever you're doing. If you feel like you're doing too much, 10x it. And if you can't 10x it, then you're probably close to your goal.
For sure. What do you have and you don't have to say this if it's too personal, but I feel like whatever you chase, you need a strong reason why. And like what we just talked about before, like if you just chasing something because, you know, you just want some money from it, when that shit get difficult, you're going to think of a different way to get what you want, right? So when it comes to all the work that you putting in, what's your reason why that when this shit gets super tough, and I'm talking about in them moments, them nights to where it's like,
absolutely.
bro, I'm ready to go to fuck to sleep. Fuck this shit.
It's plenty of them. My why is my big brother, 100%.
Okay.
I have an older brother who passed away in 2022, a couple weeks after my mom did. And he passed away at 23. He was 23 when he passed. So I think when it comes to my why, I constantly just replay all the conversations we had when we was little. Like we grew up blood brother, talk about we went to the same school together every year, everything. We like shared a room no matter what house we moved into. It got to a point where we didn't even have to share a room, and we would be like, "No, I'm sharing a room. Like we'll share a room. You can do whatever with that extra room." The conversations that we had about just life in general and what we aspire to be and what we want to be and what we want to do, he never got to live that out. So, that's what I'm doing it for.
Absolutely, man. I feel like
Sorry your losses too.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I feel like it's a couple guys who I wasn't even nowhere near that close to, just guys I went to high school with who didn't make it. And I'd be in Puerto Rico on the beach, you know what I'm saying, shedding a little tear, like, or even in Chicago on a yacht, like, damn, like, bro, to love this shit.
Right.
You know, it could be the simplest thing. It's like, damn, bro, there's so many experiences that motherfucking get to have. That's definitely motivating.
Yeah. That's what I do it for, though. The nights are, especially being in law school, but I wouldn't even say just being in law school, because if you ask me, I think I'm doing this to a different level, a different standard than anybody could ever thought.
I believe that.
So the nights are extremely long and the mornings are extremely early. My days are long. I don't think I've ever questioned it. I don't think I've ever been like upset. I don't tell people I'm tired. I'm not bored of it. I'm not none of that. Like every day I think about it. Every day I wake up, I think about, one, where am I going? Like what am I shooting for? What do I want to be? How far do I want to take this? And two, like I said, I'm 24 now. I turned 24 in April 6 months ago, and my brother didn't get to see 24. So wear the bracelets on my wrist, and I wear these like everywhere, like in court and wherever I'm going. Like can't make me take these off. This is Bryce Strong. His name was Bryce.
Okay.
And this is for my mom. It says "In a fight for someone I love." It's a lupus bracelet.
For sure.
But yeah, I also got to get rich. You got to take a wrist tatted. That thing is kind of hard. Yeah, but that's why, like, no matter how hard it get, no matter how late I'm up, no matter what, like, I think it's
You get to be up this late.
I get to be up
You
this
get
late.
to work this hard.
Exactly.
That's all I be telling my son. Like, I gotta go to school. Like, nigga, you get to go to school. What you talking about?
100%. That's real, though.
Yeah.
You saying that?
real.
I'm just like on this Andrew Tate kick right now. but bro,
Jody, email Andrew Tate for us.
no, but bro say like he gave an example that like for a man, let's just say if it's as men it's a concoction. It's 5 key components. You know what I'm saying? And if you missing one, you're not gonna be what you're gonna be. And he said for men, pain is one of the most strongest key things that you need to get to
Absolutely.
that greatness. And he was like, Batman wouldn't be Batman if they didn't kill his parents. Like that type of pain made him Batman. And if you ask any man who's like super successful, there is some pain in there that pushed him to be whatever he is. Absolutely. So you just gotta some guys, that pain take them out and you misused it. You know what I'm saying? That depression, he said you misused your depression. Like you got to be depressed. It was a key component to get you to be what you were supposed to be, but you misused it as an excuse to not do what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? It's there. I'm not, negating that, you feel depressed, but you're supposed to do something with that.
Yeah, not just sit around and say.
And I think that's what we really speak to when we like even on the sports side, when you say somebody's soft, it's like they don't have that gear or that fire. Yeah. And they don't even got it. I remember boxing, bro. It was the most mild-mannered kids that before we all took our shit off and got ready to box, you would think that these niggas was soft just off how they presented themselves and soft-spoken and all that. You get in that ring, they just had a different fire in them. You know what I'm saying? And I think so soft ain't really about how somebody present and shit like that, but sometimes it's about like when this shit get hard, can you dig a little deeper and what are you leaning on in those moments? And if you don't have that pain, for a lot of people, it's kind of like you don't have nothing there. Like it's no struggle in you. It's nothing to make you like push through this shit for real. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But this fucked up experience might be your pain for next time. That's why you gotta stay in there. You got A&P?
Nigga, no, I forgot we was doing 2.
Yeah. I was just gonna freestyle some shit. I don't got no advice for what I'm saying, the parenting thing anyway, because But we're here, man. I should have took my shirt off. I forgot I was gonna do that. I forgot to do that. Yeah. I'm not dirty. We shot these 2 like whatever.
We was here last week for that, y'all.
We out, man.
God in the king.